Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
What if the heaviest thing you've ever carried wasn't a loss, wasn't a heartbreak, wasn't even grief, but a story you've been telling yourself for decades? A story that says, I should have done better. I should have known better. I should have been more. See, if you felt something just now, a tightening in your chest, a quiet ache somewhere deep, then this video is for you. Not because you're broken, but because you're human, and you've been carrying something that was never yours to carry alone. Stay with me, because today we're going to talk about shame, what it really is, why it has such a powerful hold on women like us, and most importantly, how you can finally begin to set it down. You have lived a life full of chapters, some of them beautiful, some of them painful, and some of them, the ones you rarely speak out loud, filled with moments you wish had gone differently. Maybe it was the way you raised your children, the marriage you stayed in too long, or the one you left, the mother you couldn't be, or the daughter you felt you failed, the career you abandoned, or the dream you never chased, the words you said in anger, the words you never said at all. And here you are, somewhere between 55 and 75, a woman who has seen things, survived things, built things. A woman of extraordinary depth. And yet, somewhere behind all of that wisdom and strength, there's still this quiet voice. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And it says, you know what you did. You know who you really are. Say that voice, that's shame. And it is one of the most exhausting things a human being can carry. Not because it reminds us of our mistakes, but because it tells us that we are the mistake. There is a difference, and understanding that difference might change everything for you. Let me give you a distinction that researchers in psychology have spent decades studying and that most of us were never taught. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shamey says that I am bad. One sentence. Two words different, and an ocean between them. Guilt is actually healthy. When we feel guilty, we feel remorse for an action, and that remorse can motivate us to repair, to apologize, to grow. Guilt is about behavior. It has a door out. Shame is different. Shame wraps itself around your identity. It doesn't say you made a mistake. It says you are the mistake. And when your entire sense of self feels flawed and wrong, there is no door out. There's just hiding. That's why shame keeps us silent. That's why we don't talk about the things we carry. Because deep inside, we fear that if someone really knew, if they saw all of it, they would leave. They would agree with that voice. Here's what the research tells us, and here's what I want you to really hear. Shame thrives in secrecy. It dies in the light of empathy. I think of shame like a plant that only grows in the dark. The moment you bring it into the light, not to be judged, but to be witnessed, it loses its power. You don't have to announce your shame to the world, but you do need to stop treating it like your most shameful secret is your entire identity. You are not your worst moment. You are the whole of your life. And that is a very different thing. I want to talk about something that doesn't get said enough. Women who grew up in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s were raised in a world that had very specific rules about what a good woman looked like. A good woman was quiet. A good woman sacrificed. A good woman put her family first, always, without question, without complaint. And if you didn't fit neatly into that picture, you were made to feel that something was wrong with you. Maybe you were too loud, too ambitious, too sensitive. Maybe you divorced when divorce was still scandalous. Maybe you made a choice for yourself, just once, and you've been paying for it in guilt ever since. Or maybe you tried so hard to be everything everyone needed, and you still fell short. And now you carry the weight of that shortfall like a stone in your chest. Here's what psychology tells us, Igars. The shame we carry as adults is almost never originally our own. It was handed to us. By families who were doing their best with broken tools. By cultures that didn't know how to honor women's complexity. By religious teachings that confused worthiness with perfection. by generations of women before us who never healed their own wounds, and so passed them down like heirlooms. Think about your own mother for a moment. Did she ever talk about her mistakes, her regrets, her pain? Or did she carry it in silence, in the tightness of her jaw, the way she overworked, the way she rarely rested? We learn what to do with pain by watching the women before us. And many of us learned, I carry it quietly and alone. But you are allowed to do something different. You are allowed to be the woman who stops carrying what was never hers to begin with. You can be the one who changes the pattern, not just for yourself, but for every daughter and granddaughter watching how you move through this world. That is not a small thing. That is a courageous thing. Let me tell you about a woman. I'll call her Margaret. Margaret is 67. She raised 3 children, worked for 30 years, and by any outside measure, lived a full life. But for 20 years, Margaret has carried one memory like a splinter she can't remove. When her son was 14, she was going through her divorce, working 2 jobs, barely sleeping. One night, he came to her crying. He needed her. And she was so depleted, so empty, that she said, "Not tonight. I just can't." He went to his room. She went to bed, and she has never forgiven herself for that night. That one night. Out of thousands. Here's what happens in the human brain when we experience shame around a specific memory. Our nervous system flags that memory as a threat. And a mind that feels threatened doesn't think clearly. It thinks protectively. So it keeps returning to that memory over and over, as if reviewing it enough times will somehow change what happened, or will prepare us for the judgment we're sure is coming. But it doesn't change anything. It only deepens the groove. Psychologists call this as rumination. And it is one of the cruelest things our minds do to us, not out of malice, but out of a broken attempt at self-protection. The memory isn't the whole story. It's one frame in a very long film. But shame zooms in on that one frame and says, "This is who you are." Talks. Margaret's son is now 41. He is kind and resilient and close to his mother. He barely remembers that night. But Margaret has lived inside it for 20 years. How many nights are you living inside? How many one moments have become the story of your whole life? You are allowed to zoom out. You are allowed to see the whole film. There is a word that makes many of us flinch: forgiveness. For some of us, forgiving ourselves feels like saying what we did was okay. Like letting ourselves off the hook. Like betraying the people we hurt. So let me offer you a different way to understand it. Forgiving yourself does not mean pretending it didn't happen. It does not mean erasing the person you affected or minimizing their pain. It means, and this is the whole of it, choosing to stop punishing yourself for being a limited human being in a difficult moment. Think about someone you love deeply. Your daughter, your granddaughter, a dear friend. Now imagine they came to you and told you about a mistake they made. Something they've been carrying for 20 years. Something that haunts them. Something they did when they were overwhelmed, or young, or broken in some way they didn't fully understand. What would you say to her? Would you say, "Yes, you're right. You are a terrible person and you deserve to feel this way forever"? Of course not. You would hold her hands. You would look in her eyes. You would say, "You did the best you could with what you had. You have grown since then. You are loved." Now I'm asking you, why does she deserve that grace and you do not? Why is everyone else worthy of compassion except the woman who has worked the hardest, suffered the most, and tried her best in the most difficult circumstances of her life? The answer is not that you don't deserve it. The answer is that somewhere, a long time ago, someone taught you that self-compassion was selfishness. That softness toward yourself was weakness. They were wrong. Self-compassion is one of the most psychologically powerful practices we know of. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff at the University of Texas shows that people who practice self-compassion are not softer or less accountable. They are more resilient, more emotionally stable, and actually more likely to take responsibility for their actions. Because they're not spending all their energy defending against shame. You can acknowledge what happened and be gentle with yourself. Those two things are not opposites. They belong together. I want to give you something real to take with you. Not just beautiful words, but something you can actually do. Step 1, name it out loud, not to everyone. Just to yourself or to a journal or to one trusted person. Shame loses its grip the moment you say it plainly. Not dramatized, not minimized, just stated. I feel ashamed about a Dao. That simple act of naming it begins to separate you from it. Step 2, ask yourself, whose voice is that? When that inner critic speaks, when the voice says you're not enough, you ruin things, you should have known better. Pause and ask, whose voice is this really? Often, it's not originally ours. It belongs to a parent, a religious figure, a culture. Notice that. You don't have to keep echoing a voice that was never truly yours. Step 3, find the story underneath the shame. A shame almost always protects a wound. Underneath, I am a bad mother. Might be, I was so lonely and overwhelmed and nobody helped me. Say underneath, I wasted my life. Might be, I had dreams that no one ever took seriously. When you can find the wound underneath the shame, you can begin to grieve it. And grieving is healing. Shame is not. Step 4, choose one small act of self-compassion today. Not a grand gesture. Just one small thing that says, I matter. A walk. A warm cup of tea taken slowly. Writing one thing you're proud of yourself for. Calling someone who loves you. These are not trivial. These are how we begin to rebuild the relationship with ourselves that shame tried to destroy. Step 5. Remember that releasing shame is not a single moment. It is a practice crest. There will be days when the voice comes back loudly. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. Every time you choose self-compassion over self-punishment, you are rewriting a story that's been told for far too long. Here is what I know about you. Even though we've never met, you are a woman who has lived through things that would have broken someone with less spirit. You have loved people deeply, sometimes at great cost to yourself. You have kept going on days when stopping would have been so much easier. You have questioned yourself, doubted yourself, and still, you showed up. That is not the story of a woman who deserves to be ashamed. That is the story of a woman who is extraordinary. The past cannot be rewritten. That is one of the painful truths of a life fully lived. But the meaning of the past, the story you decide to tell about who you are because of it, that is still yours to shape. You are not the worst thing you've ever done. You are not your hardest season. You are not the version of yourself that was half asleep with exhaustion, or half mad with grief, or half lost and doing the best she could. You are, right now in this moment, a woman with the wisdom of decades, the courage to face what's heavy, and the capacity to choose something different. The weight you've been carrying, you can set it down. Not all at once, not perfectly, but slowly, gently, one breath at a time. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to feel, finally, truly, that you are enough. If any part of this reached you today, if something in here touched a place that you've been carrying quietly, I want you to do one thing for me. In the comments below, write the words, "Sir, I am reclaiming my peace." That's it. Just those 4 words. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is say out loud, even to strangers, that we are choosing ourselves, that we are done letting the past have the final word, that we are here, we are worth it, and we are not done becoming. I am reclaiming my peace. Or write it. Mean it. Let it be the beginning of something. And if you know a woman who needs to hear this today, a sister, a friend, a daughter, please share this video with her. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is say, "This is for you. You are not alone." Say, "I'll see you in the next one." Take good care of yourself. You deserve that.